The Arizona Cardinals made news today hiring Monti Ossenfort as their new GM. Ossenfort spent the last 2 years as the Tennessee Titans Director of Player Personnel. Prior to that, he held numerous roles in the New England Patriots organization from 2006 through 2019, a span in which the Patriots won 4 Super Bowls. So here's my reaction to the hiring. First of all, he does seem to be respected around the league. He had some interviews last year in the GM hiring cycle, seems to be a respected figure in the scouting community, and as a potential GM. Now, he wasn't hired as a GM, obviously, up to this point, but there's only a few openings every year. And to that point, keep in mind there were only 2 open GM positions this year, the Titans and the Cardinals. Now, on one hand, you have to wonder, why was he not the leading candidate for the Titans job? Perhaps they just wanted to go outside the building, or maybe he didn't want the job, but that is something to keep in mind. But on the other hand, the Cardinals more or less had their pick of candidates. Thus far, the Titans haven't hired anyone, and it seems like the Cardinals got the guy they wanted. Now, whether that ends up being a good hire or a bad hire, we'll see over time, but it seems like this is who they wanted. Now, in general, to me, this does feel like a good hire. He has the kind of experience you wanted. A lot of years in an organization that has a great track record, that generally does a good job with the draft, aside from their inability to draft wide receivers. But the Patriots overall have had a really good track record with the draft. I also like that they hired someone with a good bit of experience. They didn't try to go with someone who has more potential than actual experience. In general, it doesn't feel like they tried to get too cute with this one. They hired someone who seems like a really good candidate to be a GM. Someone who had been interviewed last year, was interviewed by the Titans this year, and was going to get a GM job at some point based on his experience. Most importantly, I love that they hired from outside the building. Now, I know back months ago, I was hoping that Adrian Wilson would get a shot, but over time, I've come to the place where I feel like they did need to bring someone who has some other ideas into the organization. The Cardinals have promoted their GMs from within for the last 2 or 3 hires, and just in general, I think it's a good idea to bring someone in who has some different ideas of processes and practices that they've seen from organizations other than the Cardinals. They needed a fresh perspective, and I think bringing in someone who worked with the Patriots is a good place to start. Now, what does this mean for the coaching situation? We don't know yet, but there's a couple of things we might speculate on. Now, some think that this might mean that Brian Flores is a serious candidate because he had been with the Patriots. That is a possibility. I don't see any other direct ties to any of the other major coaching candidates we've talked about. Obviously, Sean Payton, Shane Steichen, D'Amico Ryans. But hiring Ossenfort doesn't mean those gentlemen are out of the picture. You don't have to have a GM who's worked with the coach before. But it does make me wonder if the Cardinals are out of the running with Sean Payton. It would seem like he would want to have a say in who the hire was. Now, maybe they have a connection from somewhere that I'm not familiar with, but from what I can tell, they haven't really worked together. I wouldn't take this as a hard, fast sign that we're out of the running for Sean Payton, but it does make it seem at least a little less probable. But if this hire really does signal that the Cardinals are not in the running for Sean Payton, I think they knew that and then went ahead with their top choice at GM. Obviously, this hire will ultimately be evaluated based on the results. But considering his experience and that he was a respected candidate, I am cautiously optimistic about this hire. But most importantly in all of this, someone not named Steve Keim is going to be making the decisions in the upcoming draft and free agency. It's a new day, Cardinals fans, and here's hoping this is the beginning of a good run. What do you think of the Ossenfort hire? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please be sure to click like and subscribe to the Cardinal Rule for more Arizona Cardinals content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Cardinal Rule.